summer's coming up and there's a lot of options. I'm probably going to go camping for a couple of weeks, stuff like that.
Okay. It's fair enough. I mean, you're 19 years old. I'm sure you got a lot of stuff to do. Okay, now that's all the questions I've actually put together for you, but I tossed out last night saying that, I'm not going to be able to spend an entire week collecting questions because I actually recorded episode 2 yesterday, so we're recording really, really early in the week. And I thought I wasn't going to get any questions, and since you're such a high-profile interview, I really did not want you to be left in the cold here. So I put out posts on Team Liquid last night saying I'm looking for questions to ask the little one, and I've actually gotten about 7 times as many questions as I've gotten for any other guest. So,
Okay, that's pretty cool.
yeah, so let's go through them because some of them are actually some pretty good questions, and I would like you to, exacerbate if there's any point you want to make, or is there anything you want to explain. Go ahead. We've got all the time in the world. Just relax, chill out. Don't be so tense. Just let's do this. Let's have fun. All right.
Okay, cool.
All right. First questions. First few questions are from 7MK. The first question is, how long do you plan on staying random? And if you plan to pick a race eventually, what will that case be? Sorry, let me rephrase that question.
Already. No, it's okay. I've already answered it in a couple of interviews. I'm trying to stay random as long as I can compete on the top level with random. But if I see me losing a lot of games in a couple of weeks, I'm probably going to stick with Terran because it's my strongest race and I probably can do the most creative builds with Terrans.
I actually saw you play a game yesterday. I think it was against Dimaga, where you did this really, really, really creative. Well, I don't know if it's creative. I know a lot of people are doing it now, but the sort of the non-stop harass build you did, where you pushed out with like 3 Hellions, a handful of Marines, and then as soon as they were all handled, you had Banshees almost right on their tail, and then you had Thors, and it was just like this non-stop pressure cooker you put on them. I thought that was really clever.
Thank you.
All right. The next question we got here is, now that you've actually played against Chinese players, what do you think of the skill difference between top Asians and top Europeans?
That's probably a little bit hard to tell because I've only played one Asian player yet, which was Eric Panda. I won 4-0, but it's really hard to tell how I will do against other Asian players. And I believe he was probably a little bit off guard because I played a build order he probably hasn't encountered yet, and so he maybe made some wrong decisions based on how they play GVC in Korea or China.
Have you seen any of the Asian replays or anything like that that might give you some sort of idea?
I've watched a couple of them, but it's really hard to tell skill level from just watching replays. It always looks like the players are doing a lot of mistakes, but that's only because you are watching the replay and can see every single mistake the player is doing. So it's really hard to tell from a replay.
I actually got another follow-up question for you. I know that recently you just picked up, or I don't know how recent it's, but now you've probably had it for about a week or so, but you finally got yourself a US beta account. How do you divide your time between playing on US servers and EU servers?
I'm mainly sticking to Europe. I've only played like 20 matches on US, plus the 20 matches I had to play on the US server.
Okay. Is the lag a big problem? Like, are you noticing it?
It was a big problem, but then I found a program which is called BattlePing, which tunnels directly to the Blizzard servers. It's some sort of proxy, and it reduces the lag to America drastically.
Okay. I actually haven't heard about that one. That's cool. Okay, so what do you think about your upcoming match against Freedom? in the
yeah.
in the Plu.cn Kaspersky Cup.
Yeah, I believe it's going to be very tough. I mean, he is Korean. I believe he used to be a Warcraft 3 progamer or something, and he will watch my replays versus Eric Panda and trying to analyze them, trying to find some sort of counter to my builds. I guess it will be a lot harder than against Eric Panda, but I will try my best.
Well, you think about it, in those matches where you have, you know who you're playing beforehand, you might have a big advantage because he has to practice against literally like, you know, a million different matchups, right? Because you could spawn as any number of different races in any number of combinations, and you will know that you need to practice against a race. And that might actually help.
Yeah. But versus Eric Panda, I picked Terran, except on Blistering Sands. I went random because I don't like Terran versus Zerg on that particular map. And I'm probably going to pick Terran against Freedom as well, except on some maps, because my TVC style worked out so well against Eric.
Alright, how about let's move back to the HDH tournament. There's been a lot of talk about your series versus White Raw, and it had to be some of the most white knuckle type games that we've ever seen in that tournament. How did you feel about that set, that 5-game set versus White Raw?
I was pretty frustrated because I thought I could finally beat him. I was maybe a little bit too happy after I was leading 2-0. So and then after I lost the third game, I completely lost my nerves because I continued to random Protoss, and it felt really bad because I knew it will be very hard to beat White Raw with his own race in a mirror matchup, because I'm only spending like 1/9 of my time playing Protoss versus Protoss, and he's dedicating a lot of time to Protoss versus Protoss. Yeah, I was pretty sad after I lost.
But you did pull off some very, very impressive wins, and there's some people who specifically ask about certain parts of it, but let's just say there has been a lot of commotion about your game on Scrap Station in that series that people found really entertaining. So the other question we got here is, what matchups do you feel that you're the most confident in and least confident in?
Well, obviously Terran vs. Zerg is my favorite matchup, and my least favorite matchup is probably Zerg vs. Zerg, because in my eyes it's a little bit of gambling what build order the players are going to do, as you can either go Roach, Baneling, or Mass Circling, and Roach counters Baneling, Baneling counters Mass Circling, and Mass Circling counters Roach, and you don't really have a chance to actually scout out what the opponent does. I don't like it.
Fair enough. And who's your Zerg practice partner, because Team Liquid doesn't have a Zerg player?
I play a lot of games with Dark Force and Motto, two German Zergs, who are very promising, and I'm pretty sure that we are going to see a lot of maybe finals or semi-finals with Motto and Dark Force in the future.
Okay. Do you follow the Korean Brood War scene at all?
Yeah, I followed it. But I'm not following it anymore, since Starcraft 2 is keeping me pretty busy.
Okay, because there was somebody who was trying to ask what you feel about efforts chances are against Flash, but we'll move on from that. Alrighty. How many StarCraft 2 games have you played so far? It doesn't have to be an exact number, just a rough estimation.
I would guess about 1,000, but I'm not sure, maybe less. I don't know.
Alright, what do you think about...
Probably less.
Okay. All right, that was from Mojo, by the way. The next questions are from Beetleisk. What do you think about Thor and Colossus drops after their attacks changed?
I feel like the Thor drop has improved because he has a higher fire rate and obviously can kill workers a lot faster. But the Colossus drop seems to be a little bit weaker, at least in the mid game when you have upgrades. Because with upgrades, the Colossi could one-shot workers, and now he has to two-shot them. But it's probably a little bit stronger in the early game when you don't have upgrades yet.
Fair enough. I remember that was one of your first. That was my first WoW moment when I started seeing your games. Was when you started doing the Warp Prism